you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel and a happy Halloween to everybody. I cannot believe we are finally at the end of Inktober. It is complete. I am exhausted. So tonight I'm definitely going to be relaxing. I think I'm just going to eat candy corn or other types of various candies and watch a bunch of scary movies and, finish off Halloween as it's intended to be. Maybe let me know down in the comments what you guys are doing for Halloween. Like, are you guys going to a party? I hope not, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, but if you guys are doing anything cool, maybe with your family or something, let me know down below. I just think it's fun to hear from you guys. So anyway, let us get into the final batch of Inktober illustrations. So our first one is day 29, obviously, and the prompts for this day were fossil and magic. So obviously it's magic, it's Halloween, we're going to be creating some type of witch character, so that was super easy for me to kind of incorporate. And then fossil, interestingly enough, kind of made me think of amber. So I was kind of like, okay, well, amber, I could make like some type of jewelry, like maybe like an amulet. And if it was gonna be like a magic amulet, I guess I wanted it to make it like kind of witchy, obviously, really spooky but cutesy at the same time. So I thought of like this sort of like moon amulet type shape where it's like kind of a crescent moon is like the wiring, but it's encased like a full circle, and then there's a circle of amber in the middle, if that makes sense. Obviously it will make more sense when you see the actual like necklace of the illustration. But yeah, I thought that would be super cool. And then obviously, since it's amber, something needs to be encased inside of it in order for it to technically be a fossil. So I thought, what could be inside of it? A moth. However, the moth obviously cannot be seen very well. He's very tiny because he is just sort of an accent, but I thought it would just be really cute. And obviously, because of the way that I sort of like stylized the necklace, obviously it's a little modern, so I figured we'd do some type of modern sort of witch. And so I just gave her like kind of a cute top, and I was gonna give her like the little nose stripies, but because we already did that for I believe it was day 16 with the woodpecker character, I decided to just go with, some dark colors, dark makeup, modern like shirt kind of thing, and just make it really, adorable. I did for once have a color scheme in mind for this illustration. I knew I wanted her to have red hair that faded, or brown hair that faded into red at the bottom, which was kind of tough because, like we know from, I believe, I don't know what day it was, but the Storm character, my favorite combo of brown markers is unusable at the moment because E25 is fresh out of juice. So obviously I had to experiment a little bit with some other ones. Something that really frustrated me about this was E17 is a gorgeous color. It's like a very like mid-tone reddish brown. It is so pretty. It is impossible to highlight. Like, I want to use it as a base tone so badly, but for me to be able to use it as a base tone means that I need to have like some form of highlight that I can highlight it with, and it's just such a specific hue that it's impossible. Like E15, it's like pretty much the same like value, so that doesn't highlight it at all. E13 is very like sandy, like yellow pink color, so it automatically yellows out that pretty E17. However, that's the one I had to end up going with because I was so set on using E17, and it really yellowed it out a little bit, so that was kind of bothersome. If anybody is like a religious Copic user and like knows what color to use to highlight E17, that works in a way that it still keeps that sort of pinkish brown tone, please let me know because I'm exhausted at this point. I need a good highlight for that color. But yeah, so I had to use E17, E18, and then E13 to create the brown in her hair, so I didn't quite get the right tone that I was going for. But other than that, I sort of like everything else about this illustration. I really liked how her hat came out. I don't use those colors very often, despite them being one of my favorite colors. I usually only get to use them for subtle accents, so having a whole illustration that was centered around like my favorite-ish color, one of my favorite colors, was really nice and fun to do. One thing I will say is I kept going out of the lines over and over on this illustration, especially on her hat. I had to go in with the colorless blender so often because it just kept bleeding, and that was super frustrating. So that was kind of annoying, and I did have a little bit of trouble with her shirt as well. I tried to bring that E17 back as its own thing and give her like a brown sort of shirt. But after I finished it, I was like, there's not good contrast here. It doesn't stand out enough. So I threw on some of that reddish purple color again and sort of darkened it up. And I felt like that tied it in way better than if I were to just leave it brown like I did. I will say this one's kind of lacking as far as the prompts go. Not as bad as the Woodpecker Girl for sure, but because the accent, like the magic part and the amber or fossil part as well, is just such a small like accompanying element, it's kind of hard to tell that that's what the prompts were based off of. So I will say, if I were to do those prompts again, I definitely want to put more emphasis on the actual prompts rather than just creating a cute character. That being said, it is the last few days of Inktober, so y'all know by now. Character designs are obviously my comfort zone, so it's good to just, get one done with, create an illustration that at the very least I like, and that I didn't have to push myself so far to get to, if that makes sense. So yeah, here is day 29. Okay, so now we're moving into day 30, and day 30 like low-key made me like genuinely mad at first because the prompts were butterfly and balloon, and I was just so tired by this point. I was like, how the heck what do butterfly and balloon even relate to? Like, all I could think of was like something that kept popping into my head was like a clear balloon that was full of butterflies, and I was like, but that's no, what, but that is what I ended up going with. You'll see. Anyway, well, obviously you can see, but I at first told myself that I was like, that's not what I'm gonna do. And I just kind of was like, how can I make this not so obvious or not so simple, I guess? So I took to Discord and I asked some of my friends. I was like, how can I combine these two prompts? Please help me. And a couple of my friends were like dropping sort of ideas. Somebody reiterated the clear balloon idea that I was thinking of. And then someone was like, ooh, what if you did like the butterfly like eyeshadow looks from TikTok? And I was like, ooh, yes, I really like that. So I did end up taking that balloon aspect, but I also tried to push it a little bit more with the butterfly sort of like makeup. Obviously it's not technically makeup because it is going off of her face, so it's more like not like a prosthetic, but like an accessory, I suppose you could say. I don't know how exactly it would work in real life, but it definitely is beyond the realm of makeup at this point. But yeah, I did just try to make something simple. I imagined her being just like really pale with like this bright orange like cheek makeup for sure. And I also knew I wanted to do like this sort of glossy lip again because I've been having a lot of fun doing that sort of technique. So that was very interesting. It was very fun. And it was also one of those that, again, was just kind of simple, but also like I felt like it had more emphasis on the prompt than the day before, which like, because it's not just like, boom, I slapped a butterfly. It's like I kind of tried to put emphasis on it a little bit. I also knew I wanted to work with a little bit of contrasting colors because when I think butterfly, I immediately think of two different types. I think of monarch butterflies and I think of emperor butterflies. So I was like, I could have her face makeup be like monarch, her outfit, her hair, whatever, all be monarch butterfly based, and then just have the butterfly and the balloon be like an emperor butterfly. However, when it came time to finally color the illustration, I suddenly had like a little bit of a crisis. I'm like, well, there's no other blue anywhere throughout the entire illustration. Would it be better if I were to incorporate that blue somewhere else as well? So I did a couple of different color studies. I was going a little bit crazy, and I again took to Discord to ask my friends, like, hey, um, what do you guys think? Is there like a good color scheme that you guys like here? There was a lot of options. There was like some with black hair, some with blue hair, blue lips, orange lips, you know, I just a bunch of different color schemes. And eventually everybody almost unanimously was like, do blue hair, orange lips, obviously orange eyes still, and then blue in the balloon. And I was like, oh, that is amazing. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. So that is what I ended up doing. And it was really, really fun. I don't think I've ever drawn anybody with like this blue of hair before. I've done pastel blue before. I've done sort of like kind of my hair blue, obviously, but that's always like at the tips. It's not my whole head. So doing somebody with like a full head of bright blue hair was very interesting. She does look a little bit Coraline-y. But I think that's just because I decided to do short hair for this illustration as well. I don't know why I've been super obsessed with drawing like such long hair, but obviously I needed to switch things up for a little bit, so I decided to do short hair for this one as well, which again I think blended to the Coraline sort of aspect. But I really liked the color. Specifically, I think it was B16, which is one of the ones that I don't use very often, or just haven't got a chance to use since I purchased it. And it's such a pretty color. It's a very vibrant blue, obviously, as you guys can see, and it was really fun adding to the butterfly as well. Like it just blended so smooth, and like when I think of them, I think of how like kind of shiny they are. It's weird. They're like shiny, if that makes sense. And I feel like the blending on the Emperor butterfly specifically really lended to that. I do wish I'd sort of done more for her makeup, I guess. Um, Mostly because it's definitely less detailed than the actual Emperor butterfly, and usually the butterfly makeup looks on TikTok are like detailed. But I ended up going with like a sort of bubbly sort of butterfly for some reason, and then switched up the style when it came to drawing the bigger one for whatever reason, and I think that is a little bit distracting. It does like hinder it to some extent. But I do think it still looks pretty nice. I still am kind of debating if I want to keep the hair blue and just make it black, but obviously by then you guys will already know that I've kept it blue. I just wish that it was not, maybe. Just because I'm kind of like, I'm second guessing myself, but since everybody else said that they liked the blue, I'm gonna have to trust. I think it's because, like, you know, you get that whole thing where, like, you look at your art for so long that you can't really see, like, all, not necessarily all the things that are wrong with it, but, like, you can only see the things that you don't like about it, and therefore, you're kind of missing all of the things that you do or would or should like about it. So, yeah, that was very, much a struggle with this piece, but I still like how it turned out. So here is day 30. Okay, so we are now caught up to today, Halloween, day 31, and I'm so sad. I'm so sad about this one. I hate it. I hate it so much for so many reasons. So let's get into it. Obviously, it's Halloween, so this had to be a Halloween themed piece, and I wanted it to be super special. However, it just was not turning out how I wanted it to at all. In fact, I kind of wish I went with my initial idea. But anyway, getting into it, the prompts were witch and moon, which are just like too good to be true, because unlike lantern and burn, it's like I didn't have to separate them. There's a ton of ways to separate lantern, or not lantern, to separate witch and moon, but they're so like connected in like imagery and stuff like that, that it's like, okay, this will be super easy, super relaxing, really fun to draw. So my initial idea was to draw like a witch sort of facing like the, like kind of we're looking at her from the back, but her head is like facing us, if that makes sense. Not like a friggin' owl, like her head's turned 360, but like she's looking to the side and then back toward the viewer, obviously. And then she had like this super long, like moon phase back tattoo. I thought that was super pretty, super elegant, but I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna be able to pull off that pose. I really, really don't. And so I didn't. I decided to move on to something that was a little more complex, also, but still not too like crazy. And that was meant to be this sort of Halloween pinup witch girl. And the sketch is so much cuter than the actual finished illustration. I went in and, cleaned up that initial sketch. She's just, sitting on a broom with her legs kind of crossed, but also not crossed really. And just kind of, chilling up there with a little happy Halloween. I tried to do some hand lettering and just make it really cute. And it did not turn out right. So I did I cleaned up the sketch, like I said. I changed up the pose a little bit to something that was more referenced off of like actual pinup poses and things like that. And I think there's just a lot of work that needed to be done around like the anatomy wise and the broom itself and how she's like actually sitting on it, and just like her hair. This was another one where I had it initially really, really long, and then I was like, I've done enough long hair for Inktober, let's make it short. So I made it short last minute. Not my best decision. I thought it looked cute in the sketch, but once we got to the line art, it was like, oh no. Oh honey, no, what have you done? So I got into the line art, and my hands were not steady at all this day. I don't know what it was. I think I was maybe like nervous because this was supposed to be the very last piece for Inktober. It's Halloween, like we gotta make this thing good. And then the line art turned out kind of garbage, which was frustrating because it is my last piece of paper in this sketchbook, because I had already messed up a couple of different ones, and I'd also, had to use papers for swatch testing, and I also had a commission that I had to use this sketchbook for, which meant that it was my last chance. So I had to use this line art, even though I wasn't happy with it, which was super frustrating. And then when it got into the coloring, I was like, Halloween, orange, purple. So I just grabbed like the closest like purples and oranges, because I was already done with this illustration at this point, and like mentally I was done. I knew that I wasn't going to be creating something that I was super hype about, which was like kind of heartbreaking. I probably will be going with my initial idea as like a digital sketch or something at least for Halloween for Inktober as like a bonus post. That way I have something that I can at least be a little bit proud of. But yeah, I just sort of slapped some colors on there, and they're not the best. And I think one thing that really hindered me was not really registering the size of the paper. So it's 7 by 10, which is pretty like big if you're doing like a normal full body. But because, she has to be shrunk down so much in order to account for the broom, and now I'm sitting here and asking myself, why did I not just flip the paper horizontally like I did for day 8? Oh boy, yeah, this piece, it was something, huh? Why did I just think of that? Oh my gosh. Okay, anyways, so yeah, it was too small, obviously, so you couldn't see a lot of the detail in her face or in her anything. So that was a whole thing. Why didn't I turn it horizontally? I don't know. I don't understand how my brain works sometimes. I think I was just like so impossibly done with Inktober in my mind that I was just like, let's get this piece out as fast as possible. And that's what happened, and therefore it did not turn out very nicely. But if you do want to see some nice illustrations, be sure to check it out on Instagram. Hopefully I'll have something really, really cutesy up for Halloween. I might post a couple different times because I did not get to do a lot of spooky doodles this month. I was so focused on Inktober that I didn't really create a lot of like spooks, which is crazy because like Halloween and fall and stuff are some of my favorite seasons, and so the fact that I did not create like a ton of pumpkin art and skeletons and candy corn and all that stuff is like, what? Who are you? Who is this Simon? I don't know them. So I'm definitely probably going to be posting a couple of times, either well today as I'm filming, so the 30th and the 31st, just get all my spooky doodles out of my system hopefully. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry this was another rambly one, but I hope you guys enjoyed the very end of Inktober. We only have one more Inktober related video left, and that is I'm just going to be doing a sort of sketchbook tour type thing and talking about everything I sort of did and didn't like about each of the illustrations for this month. Just sort of like a quick flip through for people who may have missed a video or missed a prompt within a video, or for people who are newer to the channel, of course, who want to see what happened all throughout Inktober. So be sure to subscribe for that if you are new and you want to catch up with everybody on Inktober. November, like I've said in a couple past videos, is going to be a little bit different than normal. I'm only going to be uploading once a week. It's likely going to be on either Monday or Thursday. I have not decided yet. You guys will know obviously on the first update if you turn on notifications. And December I probably will be uploading once, maybe twice, if at all, because again, like I've mentioned before, I'm going to be practicing sort of editing a little bit. So I'm kind of trying to take some time to update, you know, the channel, the graphics, all that sort of stuff, so that when we go in January, we have a ton of new stuff and new just everything. Everything's updated and nice and more intriguing. Also, one thing I do want to mention is now that it is the 31st, on November 1st, so tomorrow, everything in my Etsy shop is going to be 50% off. So if you've ever wanted to get any of my art, now is definitely the time. Stickers are going to be like $1.50, prints $10, some of them are going to be $5, so definitely if you want to get your hands on my art, now is the time to go. Like earrings, $6 that are normally $12, so definitely go and check that out. It would mean the world to me. I am trying to clear out a ton of stuff so that I have room for new products and just so I can make the shop a little bit cleaner. So if you ever wanted to get your hands on something, like I said, be sure to check out the Etsy shop tomorrow. 6 p.m. maybe in the morning, I don't know. I'll make an update on the community tab, but the Etsy shop will be linked down in the description, so I hope that's exciting for you guys. And thank you so much for watching this video. I want to give a big shout out to my patrons, Elise Thompson, Duran, Mandy, Schleeps, and Puppy Paws. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for continuing to support me every single month. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.